This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Jay Kinder and Michael Reese. All right, welcome to another episode of Face to Face. I'm Jay Kinder.
I'm Michael Reese.
And we are here today to talk about the 2,000 transaction business model. Well, we call it the $1 billion business model and 200,000 transactions. But let's just, for the sake of sanity and people seeing what we're doing here, let's talk about the 2,000 transaction model, which we have never seen done before in this business, right? I've never met anyone that's done 2,000 transactions. But that's what we figured out, that's what we've dialed in, and that's what we're going to share with you here today on the episode. Let's talk about that. What is, and we'll talk actually a little bit towards the end of the episode, we'll probably talk a little bit about who is the right person for a partner, either an area partner that would be looking at an entire metro area, or even a local MSA partner where we were to come in and help blow up their business. We'll talk about who the right person for that is a little bit. I think that's a topic of interest that we can get into. But I want to make sure that we kind of explain the business model. What is it? You know, we've talked about the death of, in the last episode.
I felt like you should say follow me on Twitter at.
Follow me on Twitter at. I feel like I need Jim Cramer, like one of those things, with the bull and the bullshit. I need a bullshit button, and there's a few other things I think we need to equip our studio with. But let's talk a little bit about the model. So, what is the difference fundamentally between this 2,000 transaction partner model and the traditional team model that we all we've coached most of you on. And that we've evolved with. And I'll start this with a quote. The Stone Age, when we look at the millionaire real estate business model and the death of it, the Stone Age ended not because they ran out of stone, but because they found a better way, right? So, when you look at it through that lens and understand, okay, yeah, sure, the team model can still continue to go, but there's a limit and there's a lid with the team model that people are running up against, especially as they look at expanding their business. Let's talk about what we've uncovered there.
That was amazing. When you said that, I answered the question as you were saying it. The thing is, the team model works as long as you keep it small.
Right. It does. Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
still very painful.
It's not an expanded. I mean, you can, in theory, a team, if it's it's when these teams try to go cover a large service area. A team, what happens is they actually end up losing efficiency because you have people who are all working over each other. It'd be like, three dominoes serving one area.
Right.
Like it's just
exactly.
it's not the model for getting efficiencies and scalability. So
right.
I think what happens is when you're not scaling a team to get to a certain size, and you keep, but what we're seeing is that with technology, the opportunity is just there and people are going to take it.
Right.
It's irrefutable. That is disruption, is that people see a better way. Right. And noticing that better way, they see places where there's high level of places where we can become more efficient, and those efficiencies, when compiled into an economic, well thought out strategy, deliver a better way, and that better way is a better business model. And I think very specifically to the question is the difference between in a traditional, somebody doing 1,000 transactions, what typically happens is they capture all the value, and then they have a bunch of people working for them.
Right.
And which is fine until that other person has a vision bigger than just building somebody else's business.
Right.
And then they start losing. So that person starts losing talent based upon, you're asking the change. I know we covered some of this before, but it is the truth, is that they start losing that person because there's not a model within their current
the business model is what's broken.
Right. There's not a way for them to keep that person, and there's really no there's no way that they're recruiting new people to an opportunity. There's no real opportunities to work for people, and what happens is that opportunity is captured by the person doing 1,000 deals, and that person's doing 1,000 deals. Typically, at some point, they're doing them within a brokerage. So because that brokerage is an independently owned and operated infrastructure that can be sold, that company is capturing the value of that business. Meaning if someone was going to evaluate, the Keller Williams in Frisco, if you will, they're going to look at the volume running through that. And if they sell that entity, unless that agent within that entity is on that ownership, then they didn't capture any of that value. That's really, so what happens is those teams, as they become big and they need facilities and they need their own phone systems, the value in which they get from the broker, which were typically a place to put their hat and a place to put, utilize the internet and meet clients. When they start needing that in abundance and taking like a big share, a piece of the pie, they go and solve that constraint and get their own place to put their own people,
right.
Which is initially becomes like, well, then that's what they call in that model. They call that a satellite office that you have to get them approved. And most mega agents that I know in this area all go to that next step. And now you're kind of down the street a little bit, but you're
right.
they're still going to take their money,
right?
And then but you're not taking up space. And that person is usually incrementally scaled, like. What they did is they paid for cubicles and they had to pay $50 for a phone and $10 for a voicemail, and those little fees have added up to enough to they're like, shit, now I'm going to own a building. And so that's their like next
right.
reach at opportunity is to own a piece of real estate.
Right. To build a business
so,
that we can't do anything with.
Yeah, but they stay within Keller Williams because they incrementally got better. They stayed within. They own the business.
Right. Like, they do now, right? So with the the new expansion.
Yeah.
We gotta put like some pixie dust.
It's like me. Did you ever own a building?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
did Jeremy Mellick own a building?
Yeah.
Okay. They go and they own a little building.
Right.
And that makes them a little bit more happy that they're
building their wealth.
They're building their wealth. Their opportunity and their horizons. They're moving to the goal.
Right. Right.
And so, tell me if I'm getting too
animated
or passionate about the question.
We'll get some hate mail. It's fine.
Yeah. So they're
we still love you. It's not that we don't love you. We're going to help you too, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's the false belief that we've all bought into with the old school model.
Oh yeah, and then what I think is then they do that long enough and then this is what they're doing now, just so you know, and I got this firsthand, is then they're capping them.
Yeah.
So originally what they do is they said, okay, you're capped at 21,000 or whatever. It doesn't matter the brand, they cap them, and now they cap the whole thing. They're like, okay, we'll give you an infinity cap. I know I can tell you people after people, they probably don't want me to say their names because that's now all hush-hush. And all the deals are different.
Right.
And what they're trying to do is really, and I think that might be a threat because they don't even know what they don't know. I don't know how you have that in the model. What they do know is they don't want to use the guys and gals that they lose when the leaders and the influencers leave.
Right.
So I think what they've thought is if we keep the capper and the big guy with the signs in the ground, then the little guys stay and our recruiting model still works because they'll all do their $2 million.
Right.
You leave them and then they become a competitor and people start questioning, our existence in the space and we can't say we're number one.
Right.
So, fundamentally, all of that is based upon the behaviors that are being engineered from the top down. And I think a person's life cycle in growing a team is good. What's different in a partner model is I believe that person who is in our model. So let's just say the model that we chose. I mean, we had a choice in what we did. We chose to be able to create value for somebody, and we did that all the way down at the MSA level, right? And so, meaning if they're at a market service area. They can do something and build something and capture the value because that is theirs. There's an agreement that we have in place that they have actually now control a piece of real estate. And we all in real estate know the first step is to control it. Right. And in the event that when we talk next week about the value NAEA is building for that at the MSA level, people will start to connect the dots that, you'll see the genius and what's being constructed from building it at both ends.
So let's talk about this from, there's two.
My next extra answer I'll keep to under 60 seconds.
No, that's okay. That's all good. I like it. I like unraveling it. I like pulling your cord.
Yeah.
So let's talk to the person that's doing like 5 to 10 million.
Yeah.
And this is ideally, if we were to say in a perfect world in our team models, because this is how we built our teams and coached most of you to do the same. If you're doing 5 to 10 million, my biggest fear is you're leaving that, right? At that level. That's my biggest fear is that you're leaving.
Great.
Everyone else, if I can just get you to do 2 deals, come on. You know what I'm saying? Even Jenny was talking about that's his goal. You know what I'm saying? He's in Silicon Valley, but 2 deals a month, that's it. That's the goal, to get to that average. That's what we're at. But you got that one that's doing more. And that's who you want. So that's who you want if you're building a team. But that's not what usually happens, because we know the reasons why. We talked about it in episode 1. We talked about the reasons why it doesn't work, and the reason why it doesn't even attract that person that can do 5 to 10 million in volume, or even more than that, because there's no real value being brought there. You segment the business by giving them only buyer deals, not listing deals, or you bring them on as a listing partner at a small percentage, and you run them all over the countryside to doing listings at a super small percentage, and hope that they're going to stick with you while they're building your brand. And those are the reasons why it doesn't work in the team model. So what are the benefits for that same person doing 5 to 10 million or more that is looking at a partner opportunity with us in an MSA, for instance?
I mean, I'll be honest.
Why are people beating down our door to become partner? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah. And so, but I want to answer your question. I believe that you want a guy who's on a run rate to do 10 million.
Right.
Something happens with the guy once he's doing 10 million. That and I believe that they start believing, that they here's what happens. I had a good buddy that was on that run. I probably shouldn't tell the story, and I won't. But you see it in their eyes. They think they got it all figured out. They're doing good. They don't know what every single one of them. They're not taking on the expenses when they're on the team. They're not managing those expenses through the winter. They really got a good deal.
Right. And I'm not saying it's somebody that's on a team. I'm saying maybe even just a $10 million producer that's on their own.
But when a guy's what I have found is when you see that guy coming.
Right.
And the
They're
goal.
doing the right things.
Huh?
They're doing the right things.
Yeah, you see they have a good. I mean, people don't just accidentally sell 6 deals, 7 deals in a month.
Right.
Right.
No.
You don't let them run that run rate for a year. I think what you want to do is you want to identify that talented person, and then you want to go, because what happens is they get burnt out. This is
no doubt.
You're 100%
right.
They get burnt out, and they're doing it because the only way they know to make more money is the opportunity that's currently in front of them. And they just, when I went to Houston and visited with some awesome people down there, a guy pulled me aside and said, "Man, yeah, dude, I worked all Sunday, all Saturday. Went to Atlanta, talked to the team owner, and he was like, I have people that are doing X, Y, Z in sales, but the problem, verbatim, I know they're going to watch this. He told me, but they were burnt out for 2 months because they're trying to keep up that pace, and and so I think there's just a better way.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what it is.
And it comes back down to what we're currently doing. The reason we're burning them out is because. It's because it's all we know how to. Right now, the industry only offers that in abundance, done for you.
Right.
Search leads.
Right.
Done for you. You want more? More. You want more? More. You need some more? And then, so it's just like just run faster.
Right.
Right. And we all know that that's not. We all did that. And
I can get emotional about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be real clear if you're watching this, that there's a better fucking way than working 7 days a week being away from your family. And let me tell you something, I got goosebumps just talking about it. Like, we solved that problem for you. And when it comes down to, you having to work every damn evening and having to work every weekend, having to do an open house every weekend, and having to slave in this business to be doing that amount of deals, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's the real problem that we're solving.
I think you just nailed it. The nail on the head on the difference in the model is that the 1,000 transactions in their model, if you look at the 13 deals that we turned in that we discussed, we turned 13 deals in 6 days. Right? You know what? Those were 13 listings.
Right.
My partners weren't out showing. I mean, if they get a buyer, it's someone that goes homeless.
Somebody they called on one of their listings.
Right.
Or someone they sold a house that needs to buy again.
And what we're working on is in helping them, when we help them build their team, is not in just giving them a bunch of search leads. And leveraging their ability to get stand-up desks so they can make calls better efficiently.
Right.
I see these videos of people at their stand-up desk, which is all good and great. But I'm just telling you, for 10 years, if I have to come in and work 3 days a week standing up at my desk and making calls, and that's my future, I'm really building somebody else's business.
Right.
I'm not that, and they're going to leave, like you said, and that's the problem.
You're not going to attract talent with that. Like if somebody that's really talented and that's really good. If you try to recruit them in and show them, you log them into your lead platform and be like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn all these on to you, and you have to
I've
be.
done that before.
I know, me too, man. I mean, and we've coached half the people that are listening or watching the same thing, right? But like the person that says yes to that.
Is a different ICP.
It's a different ICP.
They're a little bit more desperate.
They're a little green. Yeah, they're a little more green, and they're a little more hopeful that that's going to be better than what it actually really is, which is a ridiculous conversion rate of 1% to 2%.
I know that, and this is I had a call with a gentleman this morning, and it was something ridiculous. Y'all handed out like 126 referrals or something. I don't know the number. I'll let you
176 referrals in a week.
In a week. That's what I want.
Of buyers that we talked to.
Those aren't home search leads.
No.
Those are people who are market qualified leads. And so when our partners are trying to build their team, they're going to be recruiting buyer agents that are giving home search leads and saying, why don't you come and work with my referrals?
Right.
And that's fundamentally the difference in what we're building.
Right. We had and to be clear on that, what we're doing at NAEA, and this will be in one of the upcoming episodes, we'll dive deeper into the strategy behind it and how amazing it is. But we did generate 176 referrals where we spoke to buyers that want to buy, and we handed those off to our referral partners. That will ultimately be partners in the future, where we can literally funnel so much business so fast that you'll have to build a team, not go build a team because you need to reverse leverage yourself and then you end up training. So like for those of you who are at that 5 to 10 or 15 million, let's say, and maybe you got an assistant or two.
What is the script I need to learn to take that lead?
Right.
Right.
It is.
Are you ready to go look at houses?
Right. Exactly.
Right. I get to be face to face.
Right. Face to face. Face to face, ladies and gentlemen.
That's all they want.
Face-to-face.
Buyers face to face and sellers.
That's where you make your money.
Buyer agents face to face.
That's where you make the money in the business, not training a bunch of buyer agents. And it's funny because and I'm speaking directly to you if you're doing somewhere between 5 to 15 million, 10 million, somewhere in that range. When you go hire your first 3, but we used to teach this, by the way, in coaching. This is part of the reason we're out of coaching is we realize that this model is broken, and we can help you get to $1 million, but it's not the business that you want at the end of the day. I promise. There went the ADHD bug. Where the hell was I saying? Shit, I just lost it. It'll come back to me. It always does. Give me 1 second.
I mean, you're.
I almost had it. TikTok. It's going around the room. That works at EGS.
Yeah, you basically said that you could.
If you don't have ADHD, then you probably can't possibly appreciate this moment. It doesn't bother me. It happens to me all the time. So if you do, you're probably laughing your ass off right now. But I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. It was the agent.
Back?
Yes, the agent that's doing between 5 and 15 million that is looking to grow and build a team, and you go hire 3 agents, which is what we used to coach you to do. Like I'm going to go hire 3 because I know I'm going to fire 1, lose the other one, and 1 might stick. That was the rule that we used to use for hiring agents because number 1, we all sucked at hiring agents. Number 2, the ones that we got, even if we liked them enough to hire them, and even if we had a decent process, only half, a third of them would make it, longer than 60 days with not getting paid. And the other third of those people you might keep for a while, and they might end up producing, they might not. So, but what happens is, and this is the main thing that happens, and it happens every single time, is you shift from focusing on those listing appointments that you were going on that allowed you to want to get rid of the buy side to training agents that you can't train them to be better. They're either going to do it or they're not. You're not going to train them to go from 2 to 3 or 3 to 2 to 4. It ain't going to happen. If they got it, they're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? They're not like us. That's what we always say. They're like us. They're not like us. They're not going to go out and produce 4 or 5 deals.
And the ones
call
that
them
do,
buyer leads.
Yeah, and the ones that
and open houses.
The ones that do 4 or 5 deals are just the ones that have. The ones that do are the ones that have the discipline and put out the effort to find enough market qualified leads to work with.
Right.
But you don't need 3. You have to get 3 to find one of those suckers.
Right.
But if you could just give them market qualified leads of people that were referrals, if you could actually, then you wouldn't need to hire 3 because the goal is not to hire 3 people. It's just well, shoot, if you're going to spend all your time doing it,
right?
This is the quickest way. Try to train on 3 and you might actually get, I think that's a great.
It's funny that we used to, that's how we used to train. It's funny that's how we built our business. Even though we got better at recruiting, I don't care where you are, what level of business you are. If you have agents or you're recruiting, it's your number one challenge. It's one of the number one focuses that you probably don't do very well, and you try to outsource that, and then you try to all these different things. And the reality is that your opportunity that you have for someone is not really going to ever deliver someone that does more than 2 deals a month based on the business model and what it is that you're providing is value. That's the real, and besides the fact that the companies that got more money than you, okay, and there are a bunch of them that are out there investing in economies of scale where they're calling and scrubbing buyer leads, home search leads, and handing them to their agents. Now they're going to start recruiting your buyer agents, and you're not going to be able to even
better value proposition.
with a better value prop. So we'll just call that one. It's coming. Like, they don't even see that coming. The teams are going to get murdered if they're inefficient, and they're all inefficient. So it's going to, your talent is going to start getting pulled from you because of the opportunity that these companies have figured out how to earn back the commission. They saw what we did with teams. Very obviously, we're like, dang, we're giving away 70, 80, 90%. Keller Williams is taking all our agents, and what do we do? Okay, well, if we controlled the lead just like these teams do, maybe we could go back to 50-50. Oh, shit, that's working. Let's do more of that. Oh, shit, let's build the technology. Oh, let's build the call center. They're doing all that work now and putting the money in, knowing
let's buy the technology.
Or let's buy the call
center.
Right, we've helped them with that.
Yeah.
Right? So the acquisition of companies that are in the space has been happening, and, do your homework, this. But that's what the difference is, right? So what is difference is that what is different is the person in the opportunity is going to attract a different person. So that person that's doing 10 to 15 million that's sitting here listening going, well, what the hell do you do that's different than that? Or why would I want to do something with you guys as opposed to build it on my own? Because look at me, I'm doing 5 million or 10 million. Look at me go, why would I even want to be a part of it?
I'm just going to say, if you're doing 5 million, closer to 5 million, I believe that you get way more instant value, right? That's just my perspective.
Or if you're doing 10 million and your tongue is dragging.
Well, if you're 10 million on the team, you're netting the same.
I'm not saying on the team.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's also just as productive. It's just a point.
Right.
If you're doing 10 million on a team, you're on a split. You're actually.
But I'm saying if you're doing 10 million without a team and you don't have a team and your tongue is dragging and you're listening to this going, man, you're right. I'm fucking killing myself, and I don't see my family.
I would say the economics in someone in a partner, just to break it down, if you want to get real nut and bolts here, is that depending on your average transaction price, what do you think a $1 million team nets per year?
$1 million team nets per year?
Yeah,
150.
Okay, and I agree. They are maybe 200 if they're doing a good job, right?
Right.
And in a partner model, our partners are netting more than that.
Right.
And they don't not building $1 million teams. That's
right.
Building teams that are doing about 90. I mean, they're doing it way before they build 96.
Right.
Do 96 transactions just on their personal production, depending on the average transaction price. For what we're here in Dallas, let's say we pivot off of 270,000, and so a person doing 10 million, I've met him. So let me tell you, I had a guy that the NAEA called me yesterday about. Yesterday night, actually, I got a call about a guy who said he knew me and he was meeting with me about partner. And I'll tell you, at the end of the meeting that I met with that guy, Alex said to me, man, he'd be a terrible core value fit. And it wasn't that he was a terrible, who people think they are. He really thought he was somebody.
Right.
I wasn't looking, I don't care who you are or where you hang out and all that stuff. You can go down the street. I'm looking for humble people that are good people that are looking, I wasn't looking. He came in here, dude. It was like a show, like a TV show. I should be, I didn't, and I just know these people and these egos are out there.
Right.
Right. And
they were created from an award and transaction driven industry.
Right. And that's not the people that are partners. They're really solid people. But they have real true goals. Most of them have thought about growing a team. They would like help with that. They've even thought about investing in coaching or have recently invested in coaching. And it's the implementation of a couple things. Meaning, if they were to invest in the coaching, then the coaching is going to tell them to go buy all these other things that they know they need to do. And so the investment and the time in which they're confident that that investment is going to pay back is there's a little bit of uncertainty, and they're not Jay Kinder and they're not Mike Reese. They're not going to go risk it all. And we can tell stories about betting on black, but we're not normal, right? And so there's a certain risk level that they're face to face. They're
the best of the
best of the best.
They're professionals in the industry.
All their clients are really, really, and they care. They really care.
Right.
And and I met a guy, and I'm just giving you the people that I know it's not. I met a guy, and he looked at me, and he said, "I want to make $700,000 a year." And I said, "Well, when you get done making $700,000, he said, "Take home." And I said, "When you do that, you write a book, and we will promote it, and I will actually read it, because if you're going to make $700,000 take home," this is a guy. I saw his transaction volume before he came in. He was just coming in and just making shit up, you know?
Right.
So someone who's saying, you know what, my goal is over the next 5 years is I've never made $250,000 a year. Never did it. Got into real estate wanting a better way. Talked to a guy that you sent me over, Kyle from Norman, Oklahoma.
Right.
He said, I was from a town, I think he said 7,000. He said, when I first got into real estate, man, I just wanted to make 50,000. And now, you know, and he said, next thing you know, I was doing 400,000, right? And he was just telling me like his story.
Right.
And I see those people, and I think it's they're happy with what you said. It is the tongue on the ground, because they do see a kind of a path to get there, but the only path that they see to get there is the same path that takes them away from their spouse,
right,
has them in their spare bedroom or home office, negotiating deals till all hours of the night.
Right.
They skipped last 4th of July because they had to show buyers that were coming in town.
They ain't getting no time at the lake.
They look like they're not going to be doing anything this Memorial Day.
Right.
And so and so that person's like saying,
I remember those days.
Yeah, and that person is saying like, listen, if I could make $220,000 a month and you could show me how to go, and here's where they really are. I'm telling you right now, and I don't care who, I've looked at them. I talked to more people in the last 90 days about partner than anybody, and I looked at, I've looked at P&Ls, and when an agent's making X amount, right? Like, if they're saying, man, I'm
making $500,000 a year. Look at me go.
Yeah.
Then look at their P&Ls.
Yeah, and then you look at them, it's just a different story. And so the true people are they're on pace to make 6 figures. And if you can create an opportunity that really, truly, that they believe and honestly know that there is they can make a $250,000 a year that's before we expand it. And there's an expanded model where we build out their team and leverage all the other things that we're doing. Some of the people's models are significant. Where they're making. So we got a gal in her model. Where it just caps out at 3 agents doing 2 deals, 3 agents doing 2 deals that are referrals,
right? And
they're making money. It caps out what another real estate team, is making doing $3 million in GCI,
right?
And
with a life,
right? And
predictability,
yeah. And to do it, it's like, can we deliver that? Yes, we can deliver that.
Right.
Now, do they have to go build a call center? No. Do they have to go build the software? No. Do they have to go generate the leads or write all of the different things that are part of delivering that value proposition? No. What do they have to do? They have to get face to face with the customer, right?
Right.
And they have to do what they're responsible for. Right. And given, if we send them somebody and the guy's not ready to do something right now, or he says he's ready to do 60 days from now, they need to call those qualified people.
Right. So let's we'll pull this up. Josh, if you could pull up the area map.
Can we give Josh a nickname?
Let's call him Jerome.
All right.
That's what we call him in the office.
All right, Jerome.
Jerome, you gotta love that. Jerome, will you pull up the Atlanta Metro MSA map that NAEA has? And for those of you who are watching on video, you'll be able to see that. But this is an MSA. So we have an area partner, as you've mentioned before. Finding area partners that are the $50 million to $200 million producer that wants this opportunity is not a current problem for us, because the opportunity is so big and it's so real, and we're solving a real problem. But this, looking at this, at what are the MSAs? There's all these different areas. So what is it here that, and we don't have to break down the exact metrics. I know that was the hardest part, and probably some of the deepest learning that we've had so far was messing up what we thought a market service area would be and how many agents we might partner within an area, particular area. But what is it that we do for within an MSA to get these agents ramped up and producing? What's the value that we're delivering that they're not doing on their own, that they're not capable of doing on their own, and that's more predictable, and that puts them on this track to be able to make the kind of money they want to make and not have to work those long evenings and nights and weekends and things of that nature as much as they would if they were to try to build a traditional team model.
I mean, inherently we're building their pipeline of business, but it's not, we're building a pipeline of business in that market service area of somebody who's wanting to work with an expert advisor. And
Right.
so we're first, when we meet most of these people, the group we just brought on, they weren't expert advisors, so we're training them,
Right.
which is a whole nother topic on I think we actually did this backwards.
Right.
But it was we're fortunate enough to have done it backwards because I think that the training part's typically the hardest part.
Right.
So
The skills.
Yeah. So we start them from the back, but what we deliver them is the opportunities that they're already trained on how to convert. They know how to articulate their value. They go into these appointments with a high level of confidence, which is said differently, with a lot of influence and the ability to be persuasive, and we attract the appointment in a way where they are considered trusted because of all the things that are built into the things that we did, again, from an NAEA expert advisor coaching and training perspective. Those opportunities are generated from a number of different ways, and I'll be honest, every day, what I'm most shocked about when I'm meeting with people that are looking at areas is I've had an opportunity to look and see what's really working in people's business, not where they're sitting in the room at a mastermind telling me what's working.
Right.
Not when they're
Looking at their P&Ls.
I'm looking at what's actually,
come from?
they're sending me over, they're giving me direct link to their bookkeeper.
Right.
And I'm like, holy smokes, this is a true story, 38 closings this month, 18 of them from one source.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, we're going to go ahead and keep doing that.
Right.
Right?
We're going to keep that in the budget.
We're going to keep doing that. And how does that affect the overall strategy?
And how do we scale it?
And how do we continue? Yeah, and that comes from the learning from whether it's having a conversation in California, the guy in Houston, I think I shared with where he was getting 26% of all of his listings were coming from his buyer leads. The argument there was it's not that they were coming from the home search leads, it's that he had a speed of response for all his home search leads, which was put into place for a concierge call, and they were basically pulling out at all the home sellers and then properly following up with those opportunities, and they saw the value in implementing that labor dollar for that opportunity, right?
Right.
So all those economies of scale here, you want to hear a good one?
Yeah.
You want to hear the best
I'd
one?
love to.
Yeah, here's the best one. I had learned about MLSs. I know that nobody knows this. Do you know that in Atlanta, the MLS dues are paid out of a percentage of the transaction on both sides?
No.
In the model, the MLS makes $20,000 a month. They're paying 20 G's a month to the MLS. It's 0.00 on both sides. It's like 0.0052% is your bill based upon your transaction volume.
That's
Stupidly smart.
yeah.
That's smart for them.
Oh yeah, for them it is.
Because it is. I mean, it's not dumb.
No, it's not.
Because is it incentivizing them to have a lot of members, or do they just need the people who are doing transactions to pay in?
Right.
It's smart.
It is.
It's
different.
different.
It's better than other model, right?
Dude, I've seen 3 models, and
Right.
that was just the first 3 were all 3 different.
Right.
All 3 of them were different. Every single one of them. And if you go to Houston, and people in Houston listen to the call, know I'm right. There is billboards. The #1 downloaded app is HAR. I mean, you go into the Houston Association of Realtors, it is unbelievable, dude. It's unbelievable. It's impressive. They have a training facility. I mean, I just know that whoever's working down there running that thing is brilliant. They run television to the app. They run radio to the app. It's download the HAR app, which is the Houston Association of Realtors
Right.
app, and you can ask the people in Houston that the local buyers since they launched their app, people don't even get sign calls anymore. It's all done through the app because they put their little fishing pole in the bucket.
Right.
So you want to talk about not seeing who's going to come in and try to fight for their share?
Right.
They ain't going to go down without a fight.
Right.
They're good. You don't think they're all talking? Hey,
Right.
let's listen what we did to get them.
Right.
They didn't see the value in us.
Yeah.
Listen what we're doing. We're getting part of the transaction. Oh, you get part of the transaction, Atlanta? Yeah. We're running radio TV commercials over here. Oh, they think they're going to outsmart us? Here we go. Let's link arms together. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of people, they ain't going to just go down without a fight.
Right.
So, it's the same logic that we're putting together. is we're utilizing the people who are uniting at that level. What they're all doing is Atlanta's participating in the real estate transaction by partnering, by adding value, right? Now, do you think if they double their fee, everyone's going to say, okay, I'll quit putting my listings there?
Right.
Are they?
No.
No. And I can tell you what it scales like because I had to look at it. It was
Right.
very expensive for us to go to Atlanta. It was thousands of times more expensive to go to Atlanta than it was. I don't even know the multiple. I mean, we'd have to go look. I mean,
Right.
you look at the MLS bill to go to Dallas.
It's going up like this.
Yeah,
with,
we see our transaction go there like,
Oh, man,
hey,
it's coming with us.
good job.
Right.
So those are the things that people don't even know what they don't know.
Right, right.
And when you're in that position, I think from my perspective, is that it's not just the better way that we're offering in the business model. We're offering in those economies of scale, in that model where, you know, I remember when I brought on a very sophisticated, brilliant woman to come and work with us as a partner, and I really mean that. I mean, just amazing lady. And she said like 2 or 3 times after the team meeting, she said, you know what was weird is that in my other offices, nobody shared. These people, because they're working exclusive territories, it's almost like a miniature mastermind. I mean, they are just like I'm learning when I see what other people are doing. They're also at a local level doing that same learning. I mean, people are working together towards a common goal, and it's through that we're getting no different than any type of advantages you get when you control that type of transactional volume. We're getting things that allow them for us to deliver the value proposition, which is, you know, a guy comes to me, he's never made a check off of anybody else's efforts. All of his everythings or all the work he's ever done. We're introducing him the way to leverage the amazing stuff that we built and that y'all have been working on and generating referrals to his buyer agents where he can now make an income. She told me, the brilliant lady came up here and she said, I wish I would have recorded. I might have it recorded, but this is what she said. She said, Mike, I got a check. Kathleen called me on a Friday. She said, your check's here at the office. She said, I don't have a check there at the office. She said, yeah, you do have a check there at the office. She said, a check for what? She said, a check for, it was like $2,300. And she said, what address was it? It was her first time to ever get a check. We basically sent a referral to a buyer agent on her team, and the deal closed. And she was getting paid, right?
Right.
And that was a stream of income that she told me that she said, you don't understand. When I partnered with you guys, I had this vision of what I wanted it to all be like. Now, she's got 3 agents on her team. She's trying to create her own, like she's like taking ownership in that and wants to make more of that happen for herself.
Hold on a second. Now.
Yeah. I see the opportunity. And so what I think is when you asked your very first question when we started the deal, and I said, I don't think that we're saying the team model is a 100 transaction model. Maybe 150. If you're building it over that, in theory, right? And even if you do it that way, there's a better way to do it. Because when you do it that way, you still duplicate labor that your other teams, that your competitors they have. Meaning, you know, they have this staff, you have this staff, and that staff member is not at capacity. I promise you.
Right.
They can do more. Their day, I mean, I know when my listing guy was putting a listing on a day, she ain't doing that in December. That means she was doing it in July.
Right, same with the closing coordinator.
Right. So all that capacity, you're able to spread out and get economies of scale, get efficiencies, get consistency, consistent in the consumer experience, because you know, you have one person doing it all the same way, and they're doing it to a system and process. And so, you know, what I see, the $5 million guy who's on pace, that you're like, no question, he's doing $10 million next year.
Right.
What he sees is he doesn't want to build it, and he's unconsciously, he don't even know what he doesn't know.
Right.
And when you just educate him about what he's building, you can just give him he can confirm it based upon, does your car do this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
My car
doing that right there, right?
Yeah, my car was rather like that. I thought it was going to go away. And we're like, no, let me tell you what's about to happen.
The wheels are going to come off.
They're about to come off, right. And so you got his attention.
Right.
And so he was never trying to drive, you know, randomly down the road and get in a wreck. He was just trying to get his piece of the pie.
He was trying to see how fast he could get that car going.
Yeah. He was just trying to get his piece of the pie. He had an income goal, and he thought he had to, you know, let off the brake and punch the gas. So anyway, I think what we're doing is we're just creating a better way for people to accomplish the goal without them learning to accomplish the goal, they had to give up their life.
Right. It's definitely a better way. So the next episode, what we'll talk about then is we'll talk about how we're able to go into one of these MSAs and we're able to partner with an agent and start delivering very predictably the listing side of the business, right? So, that's the focus. Obviously, we have the buy side of the business, but we can only drive so much of that before you're working just as hard, right?
Yeah.
So the leverage is really on the listing side. That's where our expertise is, and that's where our unique, our unique value that we can bring to the table that is done completely differently than what we're seeing in expansion. Obviously, there is a better way to do this as well.
And one thing I want to say is ours is scalable, so those people can all continue to exist.
Right.
They just won't build something that's valuable.
Right. That's very true. So that'll be coming up in the next episode. We'll talk about our ISA model and how we're scaling that, how we're using that to drive your business and to build your business to the next level and really monetize your business for you and help you be more profitable and more sane at the same time, and spend more time with family, more time at the lake. I saw Kyle on Facebook. Actually, it's funny. He shared a picture on Facebook, and he shared his wife was searching on her laptop for something, for the house or something, and he was looking at boats. I was like, yeah, he just like us. You know what I'm saying? It's about everything we do at NAEA, everything we do here. The reason we're doing this podcast in the first place is it's all about having a better life and having a better lifestyle and having the freedom to do what it is you want to do. Maybe you don't want to go kick it at the lake. That's where you'll find me most of the time. But there's something that you want to do and you want to invest your time in. And if you're feeling that pain, that's why we're here. That's what we're talking about. And that's what we want to help you with. So I don't have anything else. As far as the next episode, we'll dive into the ISA model. We'll dive into what we're doing. We'll dive into that piece and how to make that work. That will be beneficial to anyone who's.
Do we want them to subscribe to the podcast?
Only if you want to. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? So definitely subscribe to the podcast. This is episode.
Leave us a review.
Yeah, leave us a review if it's a
if
bad
it's a bad one, forget about it.
Yeah, right. So you if you don't like what we have to say, I could give two shits. So there's usually a reason for that, and I'm going to speak my mind. But I want you to leave a review because I have no problem. I have no filter. I posted my child's turd on Facebook the other day, and apparently that didn't go over so well for some people, and I'll let them know about it too. So join us in the next podcast or don't, and we'll either see you at the top
Or from the top or at the lake.
face to face.